Good morning, Happy New Year and welcome back to the Love in Dubai show. It's me, Casey, here with you this morning, and I cannot believe we are starting a brand new working week from Monday. Unfortunately, it's just me and it's not Simran, but the good news is we are not working from home because of COVID. Thankfully, all our office is safe and well, but we are in the middle of a humongous office move, which is super exciting for Love in Dubai. We're starting the new year on a brilliant note, and we're moving from our office in JLT out to Production City, but it's going to take 2 weeks, inshallah, for that to happen. So we're hoping we're going to have the new furniture in, and in the meantime, we'll be reporting from home and we'll be reporting from different studios around Dubai. I'll be hooking up with Simran again, hopefully tomorrow, and of course Shahir and Ali. But for today, it's just me with you to start the new year, to start our first week back. How are you feeling? Let us know in the comments. As always, we love to read them after the show. Let us know where you're watching from and how you're feeling about kicking off the new working week. Before we get into it, our top stories today, we are talking unvaccinated UAE citizens will not be allowed to travel abroad from January 10th. We'll have all the details on that. We'll be talking about Dubai residents report flooding and more rain is expected today. Yes, we've woken up again to more floods on the streets. If the kids are going off to school, take care on the roads. It's going to be a wet one. We'll also be talking about a humongous well done to Dubai for fantastic New Year's Eve celebrations once again. I think we're all blown away by the fireworks this year. And of course, COVID cases continue to rise. We have the latest updates on that, and how we're looking for the schools as they head back into the new year. But it is the first Monday to Friday, and we put a question on our socials yesterday about how you are feeling going back on a Monday. Is this something you're used to? Is this something you've done before? And I love the answers because, as usual, when we ask a question on Instagram, we get a great snippet as to how you're really feeling. The first answer I'm looking at here is a big fat no. But who is looking forward to going back on January 3 after a brilliant New Year's Eve celebration? It's always tricky, so get that coffee into you. We're going to be here with you for the next 20 minutes giving you all the new stories. Let's see. Okay, we have someone saying yes. Someone is saying it feels odd. Someone is saying I'm waiting for my Monday morning motivation. Here we are. We're waiting for it too. There's a couple going across. Yes, we'll arrive from Germany tomorrow. Hopefully we'll see the sun again. Someone's going back into the office tomorrow. Positive vibes, positive weather, motivating Monday. I love that. That's from Pratish Sharma, and they're starting the new year on a very positive note. Let's go through. There's literally hundreds of responses, mostly just saying yes and no. Love to know how you're feeling if you're watching with us today. Oh yes, I love this one. Finally, we can share worldwide memes of Monday work sucks. Monday to Friday. What I love is the observation that it feels like we're going into a 4-day work week. However, it's great until we get to Friday and realize we have one more day in the week. That's how kind of I feel. I feel like it's a 4-day week. We're starting the week on Monday. We had an extra long weekend here, but unfortunately we're still be working on Friday. So I think we'll need the motivation when we get to Friday. But love all your responses as always. It's just weird, but yes, it's just another day. Someone is sick. A lot of COVID cases, which we're going to talk about later in the show. Active cases have gone right up, especially over the weekend, which can of course be attributed to the fun and the parties that everyone had, but this is what happens. Someone saying yes because I'm teaching from home, and also we'll be talking about all the updates on schools. But let's jump into our top story, which broke over the weekend and is a massive stern measure brought in by the UAE. We're talking unvaccinated UAE citizens will not be allowed to travel from January 10th. So as you know, the COVID numbers have been rising, spiking rapidly, and travel restrictions have started to return. This is only for UAE citizens, not residents. That's worth noting. It was an announcement brought in by the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation and the National Emergency Crisis and Disaster Management Authority. However, they've said that if you're fully vaccinated and you wish to travel abroad, a booster shot will be mandatory. You are able to take a third booster shot after 6 months from receiving the second dose. So that's when the booster shot will be mandatory. However, there are exceptions. There are exceptions made for this. The rule does not apply to those who are not eligible for the vaccine for medical purposes, but you'll have to get your approval on that, humanitarian cases, and also those who are traveling for medical treatment and purposes. So this is a much more sterner measure, basically saying that UAE locals, UAE citizens cannot travel unless they are boosted, unless they are vaccinated. It's just a massive word of warning to the West of us to get those boosters in, because it looks like it will be mandatory for citizens from 6 months. So check when you got your last dose. If it was the second dose, you are suggested, you are urged, you are warned by the UAE authorities to get your booster. As we know, COVID cases are rising, and as we know, the booster can help curb the spread of COVID-19. It feels sad to know that we are going into a new year with such high case numbers, and of course I don't mean just here in the UAE, I mean especially abroad. We've seen spiking in Europe, in the States, in Asia, and the UAE have the vaccine available to us. There are 4 or 5 different types available. You can get it on your Al Hosn or your Seha app, you can book it. And if we as people need to do everything, I think the hashtag last year by the UAE was stronger together. So if we want to help to curb the spread as people, you can wear your masks, social distance, but also to protect yourself and to protect people around you, you get that booster. And that is a strict measure brought in for UAE citizens only. But let's jump into our next top story. We're talking Dubai residents report floods and major rain expected this week as well. I think we're going to see 50% chance of rain today. We've woken up. You can see my room is not very light because it's very dark outside. There's no sunshine coming through those clouds. We have dust warnings yesterday. You can see on Facebook, if you're watching the show here, some of the weather warnings coming through from the NCSM yesterday. We can see a lot of that same weather from yesterday, today, which of course means flooding in some cases. We are going to be talking about some communities who've reported flooding. And actually, one of these crazy things is that a year's worth of rain was reported in the early hours of New Year's Day. We saw so much rain, and now it continues. We're seeing dust, cloud cover, and more rain. The skies have finally opened. It's been over a year since we've had a full deluge of rain, and finally it's come, and it looks like it's not stopping. People weren't prepared. It happened in the early hours of New Year's Eve, so I don't know about you. You might have been out partying, you might have been at home. However, we all woke up probably a little bit later than usual to these like cloudy, grey, dark skies and wet roads. However, unfortunately, some communities aren't as prepared as they could be, and we're seeing some flooding. You can see photos here beside me. Some communities are really reporting a lot of floods. They're calling out the buildings for kind of needing to jump in at this point to make sure that they are prepared for the next rains. Let's see, we have a couple of comments here. Happy New Year, everyone. Water leakage at home, so unfortunately no power as well. So some communities are reporting no power even for 3 days. The roads continue in most areas to be well managed. The RTA are continuously working at draining out the water, and I think you've probably seen it if you've been driving anywhere. There's people working on managing the floods on the roads. It's hard to do, but in the communities, more people are, in certain communities, people are calling out the residential powers that be. They're looking for more help because their homes are experiencing flood damage and they need the help, especially right now. We have some comments from individuals who are going through specifically that, and that's what I have photos of here beside us. So they're saying that a lot of the leakages are coming because the drains are covered. So while some people are waiting for their building management authorities to come out and to fix the flood damage, what you can really do is actually go and uncover the drain yourself. So some people are saying get a ladder, go and check your drain yourself. If you have flooding coming through your roof, if you're able to and if it's safe, if you're living, this is mainly for villas now, not apartments, you can actually just check the drain yourself. And what happened is a lot of these drains are not fully, they're basically stuck. They have excrement, they have dirt and dust and everything. So actually they're saying that in some areas, if you scoop out the drain yourself, it could dampen the flooding, for a better term. We've gone through a couple of complaints that we're getting from people. There's water flooding inside my house. I complained, and then 15 hours later, someone still hasn't visited my house. However, they're closing the complaints because there's so many coming through. It's a flooding of complaints while the floods are happening, which is a disaster. However, what people need to know in these situations is just, if possible, check the drains yourself. We are getting some responses from specific communities who've responded to these complaints. They've said, we're sincerely sorry for all the concerns you're facing, and they've given more numbers, more emails for people to get in touch with. They said, in relation to the floods, what's worth noting is the owners and residents need to make sure the balcony drainage is not blocked and windows and doors are sealed properly by doing quarterly preventative maintenance through a service provider, and to check the weather forecast to ensure that they prepare for any other rain or serious weather conditions. It is recommended to ensure that all the windows and doors are closed securely during the rain, and for additional protection, you may put towels below the doors and windows to prevent water coming in. So what they're saying is get prepared in advance. Get your quarterly preventative checks in advance. Also put towels on the doors. They're saying any electrical items or cable clubs that water could reach out on the floor should be removed from the floor or covered. And I think the response from some people is that most communities are prepared for the rain, and why is there flooding in some communities? But at the moment, because there's such a massive volume of help needed, if you can put the towels down and if you can check the drains, that's kind of what's needed, unfortunately, at this time. And the DEWA have also sent out some safety measures separate to that, which says you can check this yourself, check exposed connections, make sure they're secured properly, seat all spare conduits located at the building roof, seal. Thought seat was wrong. Seal. Also close all electrical cabinets, replace any damaged meter windows, and thank you for understanding. Entering the new year with floods is not ideal. And as I'm saying, is that there is a massive volume of complaints, and while the authorities are trying to deal with it, if there's anything you can do to follow those regulations, try to, and put another couple of calls in to get someone out to your house as quickly as possible. We'll move on to our next story. Of course, COVID cases in Dubai are rising. Are schools open, aren't they? It is the first day back, what's meant to be the first day back. And on December 28th, we had a report from the KHDA, which said that regular face-to-face education in Dubai private schools will continue in the second semester. So basically saying face-to-face education is opening. However, collective classrooms and extracurricular activities will be discontinued. So basically schools are back. But all of the extracurricular stuff will not be back as they kind of try to curb the spread of COVID-19. They also said canteens will close for the first 2 weeks of the semester, and gatherings and school trips will be suspended. So the word from the KHDA just 5 days ago was that schools are opening. However, as I got closer to D-Day, as I got closer to the first ever Monday of the new year, schools across the country, especially in Dubai, schools across the country were doing testing of all teachers to make sure that they had enough staff and that the staff were safe and healthy and wealthy. That the teachers were well and healthy. However, it looks like in a number of cases, unfortunately, some teachers are stuck abroad, many are testing positive, same with pupils. And we've seen GEMS Education, according to the National, are closing 26 out of 28 schools, and some schools are reverting to remote learning. However, KHDA said you can be open, but it's up to the schools to make that call. I know in my community I've already seen some school buses head out, so some schools are opening, but it's worth noting that the schools are making the call based on, I guess, the number of staff that's available. And obviously if they can open, great, because they've done this required testing, but in some cases they just don't have the capacity. A quick shout out onto the number of COVID cases we've seen in the last number of days. New cases 2,600, new recoveries 890, total deaths at 2,168. Total cases are now up at 767,093, and our active recoveries in the UAE at the moment are at 18,000. Active cases at the moment are at 18,000. It's worth noting that although we're seeing a rapid rise in cases, in line with trends across the globe at the moment, the death rate in the UAE does remain low. The death rate isn't rising as rapidly. Hospitalizations are lower, but as the cases are rising, all we can do is follow those precautions, which are, as always, keep that social distance, wear your mask, get the booster if you haven't got it, get vaccinated if you haven't already. If you're looking at the rising cases beside us, by the way, it's just worth noting that the brown line means diagnosed cases, green means recovered, and red equals deaths. And Global Village yesterday closed, and we saw a couple of cancellations of fireworks, but I think we're still waiting today for what's going to happen later on today in terms of weather. I think the first part of the day we are expecting some rain, dust and cloud cover. But moving on to the moment that stayed dry amidst all the rain, Dubai once again pulled off the most incredible New Year's Eve celebrations. It was wet and windy before a little bit, and thankfully the skies remained clear for 29 incredible fireworks celebrations to light up across the UAE, across Dubai. There were some world record breakers on the night. And it was really just incredible. As always, people fly in from all over the world to celebrate New Year's Eve in Dubai, and it did not disappoint. There was a Dimitri Vegas concert at Expo. Expo really pulled off all the stops, bringing in a top international DJ. It was absolutely huge. So it was a really incredible way to bring in the New Year in style. The RTA reported more than 1.6 million riders used public and shared transport during My Dubai New Year. 1.6 million people on public transport during New Year's Eve. Like, that's just an incredible feat to pull off. In any case, I know I got a RTA taxi twice in the evening. I barely waited. I think I left at 6 p.m. to make sure that I wouldn't be stuck in traffic, and was absolutely fine on the way into the marina. And then on the way home, it was probably about 2 a.m. We just hopped into a taxi. Previous years, I know I had record waits for 2-3 hours nearly waiting for taxis, and prices skyrocketed. But this was really well managed, in my opinion. Let me know how yours was. We've asked a couple of people how they got on during their New Year's Eve celebrations. And we have some feedback from people who are spending it in downtown Dubai. So, of course, hundreds of thousands of people were heading to downtown Dubai. This year, for the first year, people were asked to register on an app, and there were zones set out. So if you were a zone, people were getting the metro in. Some roads were closed. There was also obviously a lot of traffic in the area. So some people were basically saying they could have been in zone 3, but they were moved to zone 15. There were a lot of people there. But the fireworks, as always, were impressive. And it's amazing that no rain hit the area during the spectacular fireworks show. I think I was one of the incredible lucky ones. I was on a boat for New Year's Eve in Dubai. Incredible. I've been here 8 years. I've never been on a boat before. It left from Marina, and we left I left at my home at 6 p.m. We left Marina at 8 p.m. and I've never seen the water so full. It was just phenomenal. There were hundreds of boats. We went from Marina down to the Burj Al Arab, and there was just hundreds of boats filling the area, everyone bobbing for a best seat, but there was no need for a best seat because you had the entire skyline lit from the Burj Khalifa, Burj Al Arab, Jumeirah Beach Hotel. It was just sparkling everywhere, and you could also see all the palm fireworks, and Ain Dubai, of course, lit up for the first time. It was magical. People say, New Year's Eve, is it as good as it's expected? But I've never actually seen a fireworks show like that in my life. I know I never will again. I definitely count myself as one of the lucky ones to have been on the boat for New Year's Eve, if you ever can. And I know that the RTA do marine boats. You need to book them well in advance. So for next year, get onto the RTA now. That is it for me this morning on the Lovin Dubai show. Thank you for watching. We will have a studio tomorrow. Fingers crossed. And I'll be back with Simran and Ali and Shahir to bring you all the top stories. But for now, good morning. Happy Monday. And I hope your week is successful and you have a fabulous first week of the new year.